Okay, Nicolette Holman, thank you so much for being on today. So glad. I'm so excited to chat about what we're going to chat about resilience in the music industry.
Thank you for having me. It's lovely to meet you.
Yeah, it's been fun chatting. I mean, we could talk forever, so this is going to be a fun chat. So just a little bit about you. You're a professional singer, performer, coach as well in multiple styles of singing, jazz, opera, pop, and you live in LA area, Southern California. You work with a lot of artists, a lot of different people, and you've been featured in Carnegie Hall, the Hollywood Bowl, Warner Brothers Studios, CNN, opera, the LA Opera House, and Long Beach Symphony. So you have quite a performing career under your belt, which
Oh,
is so
thank you.
impressive and also very resilient. I already know that there is a go-getter inside you that is like no limits. Let's go for it, because of all the places that you've gone, and I know that takes some guts. It takes a lot of resilience, and so I think you're the perfect person to talk about this, for especially because this summit is about equipping artists and creatives to take that next step, in their, it could be a career, it could be just being a creative soul and like wanting to express a little bit more. So you're the perfect person to talk to about this. I would love to know, uh, you know, what is your secret? What is your secret for keeping it up and keeping going and adapting? I mean, it's been a pandemic. Performers have had to adapt a lot right now. So you're also a coach. So tell me a little bit about, um, just your process in keeping going and developing resilience.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and thanks for the lovely intro. Yeah, I've been performing since 3 years old, professionally since 11, and there's been those years, where a few gigs fall through, and you get very invested in doing these potential gigs as a performer. You're like, yes. So when they fall through, it's a big deal. And I've had those moments
Yeah.
over the years. When I launched Satin Glove Entertainment, my the show company where we do song and dance shows for corporate events, private parties. Um, it was rocky those first few years. And what would keep me going is when I was like, maybe I need to throw in the towel. Then a nice, beautiful opportunity would come up, and it was kind of like the universe going, no, keep at this. This is for you. It's okay. These bumps are normal. There's even a book called The Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster that speaks about these things. Like you
Yeah.
just you go through it enough years, you weather enough storms that you realize, okay, I'm gonna do this. I love this. What else would I do? When you're meant to be a performer, you feel it in your bones,
Yeah.
and you got to do it. And so when COVID hit, oh my gosh, I mean, talk about, that was the most decimating thing that I've been through in this whole,
Oh
and
yeah.
we all have, right? This endless journey of performing. And so it was like, okay, you're taking a whole year off of this. And I really was okay in that temporary pause. I
Yeah.
didn't want to be out there singing at fluffy, fancy parties when people are dying, and I didn't feel right about that. And so I kind of accepted. Part of resilience is acceptance, right? So I accepted that, okay, wow, that business is shot to hell right now. And so I focused largely on my voice teaching business and building that up and learning how to teach virtually in an engaging way, right?
Yeah.
In a way that people don't think it's just like a robot on the screen, but like a very warm, loving teacher with them, sharing this connection and vulnerability. Um, so I think that the previous years of the ups and downs, getting this gig, losing this gig, getting the next better gig, losing that gig, that I think that kind of equipped me for the ultimate devastation, which was the year of COVID. And I'm so grateful that performances are coming back for all of us now.
Yeah, no, that is exciting. It's coming, it's coming. So you get to adapt again, right? It is a roller coaster. I love that title. And artists are musicians and also entrepreneurs, like you said. So that's a great book. Do you remember the author?
I don't, but I will get back to you with that
Yeah,
because
okay. We can always put it in the sideline there. I love it. So um tell me how this is impacted, the students that you teach, because I know some of them are probably performers, artists just like you. So what are some creative ways that you and your clients have found to keep resilient also in this time?
Such a good question. Such a good question. Yeah, what I've been encouraging them to do, and then what they've been stepping into is virtual performances, music videos, really, right?
Ah,
Who
okay.
doesn't want a music video, right?
Yep.
And so before the pandemic, I would have live performances for my students, and maybe five people would show up, maybe eight. It was always like, oh, where are they?
Right.
And then I started these. It's hard to get them, show up in person. The LA traffic and all that
Right.
parking. But with virtual, hey, they're at home anyway. It's comfortable. So it's been so many more students, 20, 25 that have been showing up to these virtual showcases, not just showing up, but like pre-planning, preparing, pre-setting these wonderful music videos that are
Oh,
stretching their creative limits. I mean, I'm floored. I'm like, wow, you can't just stand there in front of a white wall anymore. You got to have the virtual moving background. I have a student who had like a lion that had fire coming around the line. I'm like, am I in Vegas right now? Is this Cirque du Soleil?
yeah.
you know, it looks so cool. Or just, one student was in a graveyard and then she had 6 different scenes she was in this music video for the virtual. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was not expecting this, but how wonderful. And the truth is social media is so huge right now, right? Like you need to have music videos if you want to be a performer.
Right.
You have a chance of being seen by the big guys on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, right? So it actually was super productive for them, and it didn't feel like much of a loss because these are things that when you're busy performing live, you're like, yeah, I should do social media, whatever.
Yeah.
But when that's all you have, you're gonna do it, and then you have these beautiful memories, these beautiful videos of yourself. Who doesn't want that? I think even a non-singer would want a music
Yeah.
video of themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's such a great idea. I mean, that's so smart that they and it's that just goes to show community is so important, because your students are inspiring you.
Yeah,
You're inspiring them, and it goes around and around, and we can keep like moving forward together.
so true. So
Right.
true, right? We learn as teachers. A lot of the tech stuff that I know, maybe you too, but a lot of the tech stuff I know, my students have taught me that. And I'm like, oh, I did not know that if you go to YouTube on the settings, there's a playback speed setting that you can change, and also
Yeah.
there's custom settings that I was like, oh, okay, like they're pretty tech savvy, right?
Yeah,
Lucky.
it's true. That's right. I also learned the like dance moves of every era from my students. I always feel like, so what's
Right.
the cool dance move now?
Fun. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a side note, this is probably not very helpful, but just random. But so I know it's so important to like surround yourself with good community. And this summit is called Create Connection, Freedom, and Joy, their
Mm.
creative artistic expression. And that is a part of connection, right? Is that, hey,
Yes.
we're in this together. Like you don't have to do it alone. So I would love to dive into, how this summit impacted you as far as those topics like connection, freedom, and joy. You've got to be connected to your reason for doing your art to continue in a pandemic. I mean,
Right? Let's
there's
test
no,
you.
yeah, exactly. There's no giving up, if you know why you're there. And so, and we haven't given up. Obviously, we're here, So I would love, exactly. So I would love to hear, kind of your process of feeling stuck into like, no, I've got to connect back to why I'm doing this, and move forward.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. So with the voice teaching, I didn't get to keep with the performing for a while. So that was like, do I still want to perform? Do I? And I was thinking that through, and the answer was yes, because that is exciting, that is fun, that is bringing joy to the crowd, and having that beautiful connection with the audience is
Yeah.
what any singer would want, right?
Yeah.
Um, with the voice teaching, which is what I got to continue with during the pandemic, it was giving people, so it was giving hobbyists, because I love hobbyists just as much as the professionals, right?
Sure.
I love them
Sure.
too.
Yeah.
Some,
Creative souls, right?
yes, and sometimes they stay the longest. You know, I had a girl that worked at a hardware store and she was with me for like 6, 7 years. You know, it was amazing. But I recognize the healing powers in music and just how joyful it is when you just let go and let the music move through you and really connect with all that's going on and why you're singing this song, what the artist originally meant with this song and your interpretation, how it connects to you. So getting people to let the music move through them and heal them and create joy for them is what I live for.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of what I do. And I always try with people to remind them it's not about being perfect. It's not like you go from brand new beginner to Celine Dion. It's this beautiful journey that you have. And my motto is you're going to improve whether you love yourself through the journey or judge yourself through the journey. I choose love. And I have that for them to see, like right there, singer mantra. And I just want them to find that joy and that passion. And during a pandemic, when we were so isolated, being able to grow in this art and connect with a teacher that really loves them and cares for them, all of that, it's just it's a beautiful thing. It's a
Yeah,
beautiful job.
it really is. I love how you just said that. Can you say that quote again? You can
Sure.
love yourself.
So you will improve whether you judge yourself through it or love yourself through it. I choose love.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's a great quote. Yeah. And what would you say to the performer who is maybe judging themselves and they know they are, right? We all do sometimes. It just
Yeah.
This is how it goes. So what would you say to the performer or to the artist who is kind of judging themselves and it's so hard to get to the next step because they can't get out of that judgment.
Gosh, sometimes it's what you say, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes it's what you have them do. And I've had a lot of years of doing yoga and teaching yoga
Hmm.
and all of those breathing techniques and the meditation. So I try to incorporate some of that without it getting too woo woo. So we do some breathing techniques, holding in the breath of 4 and then scooping in more air and then exhaling, like certain things that really focus the mind on the breath because breath is everything when it comes to the voice, right? And if you're fearful, you're in that fight or flight mode, the neck tension. So I really try to get them to connect back to the breath, their breath of life, the breath source. And the great thing about singing, as you know too, I'm sure, is we have the breath of the gods. I mean, we have
Mm.
huge breath potential. It's different than certain things where you're tucking and you're tucking. It's like we've got all this
Right.
releasing and opening, and it's healing for the mind and it's healing for the soul, and you sound better.
Yeah.
So yeah, the
Yeah.
physicality, yeah,
Yeah.
as well, the physicality.
Oh yeah, no, I do see that. And it's interesting. Every person is different. Like some people come naturally like this, and then
Yep.
right, and some people they just have to tap into it and be aware, right, of
Yeah.
their breath. And so that's really practical. That's a really great way of just finding that. I guess it would be acceptance, awareness of your body and what it does for you. um,
Yes.
Breathing is very, very, very important.
Very, 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 very.
Very, 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 for the human
Yeah.
in general. Um, so I love that. That's very practical. Um, yeah. What else would you say to someone who is doubting? They're not sure.
I tell them to kind of adopt the persona of someone who has this seemingly unwavering confidence. So for
Mm.
some reason, my mind goes to like Beyonce, Freddie Mercury, Will Smith,
Yes. Yes.
and I say, tell yourself, I got this. Like anytime that negative thought creeps in, like, I stink, I'm horrible, what was that? Replace it and actually say out loud, I got this in that confident way with that persona, right? Of a Beyonce, I got this. And energetically, it feels good. It feels good. It feels silly, but it feels good. And you need to be silly, right? To get your mind out of that rigid, I must be perfect at everything. And I get it, right?
Nice.
I get it. It's hard to not be a perfectionist. It's really hard. But ironically enough, clinging for that need for perfection creates the worst environment to be able to be freely creative in, right? So
Yeah.
it's that catch 22. Like you got to get out of that and more into the heart and the trust, the self trust. And also, I tell them, Please, on this journey, you may have had teachers before who maybe didn't work for you, maybe they did, but trust me and trust yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really big piece of that is trust, right?
Yes,
I think trust flows into all three words of the summit, the connection, the freedom, the joy,
yes,
you know?
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
You get
That's
that.
really good. And I like saying that. I got this. I
I
got
got you. Should I should you
got
say right?
it right now. I got this.
Absolutely.
Try it. I want to hear everyone's responses. How do you feel after you say that? I feel good.
Right?
So yeah, I'd love to hear responses. So
Let
I
me
love it.
know.
Yeah, and it's so funny because it's so simple, right?
Yeah.
Those things you just shared, they're so simple. They don't take a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I've heard that the mind is prone to think negatively, like just to protect ourselves, right? There's
Yes.
a part of our brain that wants to protect us. And then when you purposefully do things like that, like breath, or like the I guess the self-talk, you could talk it. I got this. The persona, it starts to become natural, right?
Yeah. Because these artists, they're just human too, right? So Beyonce appears all knowing and all confident, but she's, of course, as a human, had her own struggles. But she adopts, she gets steps into that persona, and it can be anybody can step into that persona, right? Because it's a persona, and then the more you live it, the more you feel it.
Yep,
Perception of
absolutely.
reality, right? Yeah,
Well, I love your performance perspective because we have artists, painters, singer songwriters,
right.
graphic designers, and you're here coming as a performer, who has had to appear confident. I'm sure sometimes you didn't feel confident on that stage,
Oh
right?
yeah, like well, I always say it's like grace under fire. Like there's if you're live, there's gonna be something that goes wrong. Maybe it's with the sound system or some crazy person running across the stage, something happening, and I call it like grace under fire. So like imagine there's like a barn burning behind you, but you're like Miss America over here, like everything's fine here. And it's true, and you just got, and that's part of letting go of that need for perfection, right? It's like if you're going to be a live performer, it's not this contained environment of a recording studio, right?
Sure,
Crazy
sure.
stuff will happen. And so it's up to you to be graceful and act as if everything is just great. And then everything is great, right?
Yeah, it
Okay.
becomes great. Yeah.
It
You
becomes-
know, it's so funny because I've performed for a long time as well, and I still have a love hate relationship with performing personally, and this is something I'm working through. Why I'm putting on this summit is because I'm working through my own things, and I want to hear from people like you who have walked it. So, there's a part of me that's like I kind of like performing, but I like the safety of the studio. Like I like the safety, and I like it. I don't like the unsafe, feeling unsafe and vulnerable. Um,
I
so
get
so I'm moving forward in that. I'm not gonna let that stop me. But what would you say to someone who said that to you, like who's in kind of the place I am? I'm like, do I want to perform? Maybe
yeah.
I just want to record in the recording studio.
Well,
Safer.
that's a really good question because I've been thinking about that too in relation to the fact that the pandemic made it all go away and now it can come back for us, right?
Yep.
Um, because it's this new and always different and always shifting environment, the live performances versus a contained environment. When you're in the groove, it's just it gets so much easier and it's what
Yeah.
you know. So even though it's like like it's the unknown, but you're used to the unknown and you accept that and it's
That's good.
exciting, it's stimulating. But I've been a little nervous at the end of the pandemic going, do I want to, go back to performing? Will I remember? It's really just, will I remember how to use my sound equipment?
Sure.
That's what it is,
Yeah.
because I'm not a
But
technical
you
person
will. Yeah.
and I have to so I'm going to test it again and make sure. But I would just say for those performers that are going, should I? It's so worth it. Like I have started accepting some gigs, and I already feel energetically kind of thrilled about it.
Nice.
Yeah, and maybe it won't go perfect. It probably won't because that's live. You could get there 2 hours early for a sound check, and they will do it for you, and then there will still be feedback, like right when you perform, and you're like, "What the heck? what the heck? But everything's
Right.
fine here. Everything's fine. It's under fire. I think it's worth it for those that crave variety, fiery, exciting, passionate moments. That's what I would say. I don't think it's for everybody.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a good point. I love passionate, exciting moments
Yes.
myself. So
Perfect. See?
that's exciting. I can lean into that. Like I can lean into that love of passion and excitement and
Yes.
all of it. There's a part of me sometimes as a performer that thinks, well, I'm not being authentic. If I just, oh, it's fine, and so I've been on this journey of becoming authentic in the studio and then bringing that authenticity out. So I think COVID has created that opportunity as well. Like it's okay to be a different person coming out of this pandemic as you go back to performing or whatever it is, right?
Yes, I got asked to the first gig I got asked to do, and I turned it down. But this is funny when we're talking about being different people. Like before the pandemic, I might have been like, I'm going to make this work, right? But I got asked to do a gig where they want girls that are on a yacht, roller skating, serving drinks, and I just thought, oh my gosh, that is an injury waiting to happen,
Oh my
and
God.
I don't want to be injured. I don't want my dancers to be injured on my behalf. And
Sure.
I was like, you know what? Stepping into this new part of me after the pandemic, I think I'm largely just focusing on solo career, Nicolette,
Yeah.
performing and maybe some bands, but nothing that's death defying, no fire breathing, or not for me,
Right.
maybe for other performers. But
Sure.
so you're right, we get to step into a different version of ourselves all the time, and especially after an earth shifting event. Absolutely, whatever serve you, get rid of what didn't serve you and really
I love that.
into what does serve you.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity. I like what you just said, to get rid of what doesn't serve you.
Right.
Yeah.
What does it
And
look like, right? For all of
and,
us.
and be specific. Like, what do you want? Why
Yeah.
do you want that?
Yeah.
Right?
You have been too with
Yep.
your album.
Yep.
So, I mean, it really worked for you too.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, and that's why I'm putting on this summit. It's like I know there are other artists out there just like me who are ready for that transition, are ready to step into the new, are ready for that opportunity, and just like you, focusing on your solo career. So that's really what I love that you brought that up, because that's what I wanted this interview to be, is an encouragement, is inspiration, motivation. Like, hey, it's okay to step into something new here. Like the world is becoming new, and so can you, right?
It's okay and beautiful and
Yeah.
perfect, right? Because if we stay the same person, how dull for us, how dull for those around us. Like, we got to continue to inspire and shake things up. And even us having to learn how to virtually teach voice and be good at it. Like, I studied news reporters because I was like, okay, I'm not really clicking
Nice.
with them. I'm like, but news reporters are clicking with their guests. They're so warm. And I studied them. I'm like, well, what are they doing? How do I get this right? How do they feel my love and feel my warmth? Because in person, they feel you, right? Energetically, it's like,
Yeah.
but how do you? So I achieved that. And then also learning all the technical stuff, right? Because we're
Yeah.
performers. But we have it in us. We can
Yeah.
look on YouTube and figure out the right Zoom settings, and we have it in us. And that takes courage, but that's part of the world we're stepping into, right? Is this very technical world and being okay with it, adapting.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I see like such a gifting in you to truly go all the way in whatever you do. Especially, yeah, especially for your clients and your dancers and your and Satin Glove Entertainment. I mean, you go all the way. Like you lead the way. I so admire that about you. And you do the steady. Like you steady and you go for it. And so I think that's a great point as well, just to follow your example, is that we can become new and we can like put the work in too. Like there's nothing wrong with putting some work in and being a little humble about, like I'll be being a little humbled, like, wow, I'm starting over in this knowledge, or
Wow.
I'm
Yes.
embracing and some new knowledge. Right? There's nothing wrong with that, and that you're so inspiring. So I just wanted to point that out.
Gosh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Yeah, and by the way, like the need for perfectionism, it's funny because we'll judge ourselves and then we'll judge ourselves for jujudging ourselves. And I just want to say to artists, like,
Yeah.
it's okay if you have that need for perfection or that need to be really great, and that,
Yes.
Acknowledge it. Give yourself empathy and love rather than going, oh, I'm so hard on myself. Now you're being hard on yourself for being hard on yourself. So, so that's
Yeah,
part of it, right? It's like, you know what? I tell students, I'm like, but why would you be confident like before you've had training? If you don't have the tools to do something, how the heck are you going to be confident at it? I'm not good at playing pool because I've had no training and I'm awful at it, but that's okay. You know what I mean?
yep,
So it's
I
like,
love that.
give yourself a break.
I love that. Yeah, one of my mentors, Shanda, says
Yes.
competency and courage equals confidence. So
Ooh, I
you,
like that. I'm
yeah,
gonna write that down.
yeah,
Yeah.
competency plus courage equals confidence. And so it's okay to put in work for both,
Love
right?
that. Love that. Thank you. So you
Yes,
got
you're welcome. That's why I'm doing this too. Is like we got to pass on. We got to encourage each other.
bumping off each other. Yeah, live shared experiences. Yeah. Similar.
Uplift. So awesome. Well, we're coming to the end here. What, yeah, you have a free gift for our audience. What would that be?
Yes. Well, I would love to kind of get people connected with my singer community and with me virtually and maybe in person too. We'll feel it out.
Yeah.
Uh, And so, a one free 1 hour voice lesson with me, and that might involve, well, that will certainly involve breath support, vocalises, and possibly performance coaching as well, and discussing. I do always have performance opportunities for my students because I find
Yeah.
that it keeps them motivated and there's nothing that lights a fire under your butt to actually practice than to perform, right? My
That's
peers
so
are going
true.
to better get it together. So, yeah, just performance opportunities and also, yeah, a lesson. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love how, yeah, you're a one-stop shop. You have your performance entertainment company as well, and there's opportunities there, and there's opportunities that you, I'm sure, pick out for your students. So that's so generous. Thank you so much. And I know you have a YouTube as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They can
what
find,
is your YouTube?
yeah, if they type in my name, Nicolette Holman, 1 L 2 T's, Nicollette, and then Holman, Holman. They type that name into the search bar, it'll pop them right to my channel. And then my website is mesmerizestudio.com, normal spelling of mesmerize, normal spelling of studio. So those are two ways to connect.
As well. Okay, awesome. And we'll have the link in your email. So thank you so much for your energy and just your generosity and wisdom sharing with the artists on the show. Thank you so much, Nicolette.
Thank
And
you. Thank
yeah,
you.
you're so welcome. Yeah.
Yeah.
And blessings on everything this year. It's excited. I'm excited for you.
I'm excited for you too,
Thank you.
fellow.
Let's do it. Let's encourage artists together. Let's go.